Welcome back to the 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show. My name is Wayne Kimmel, managing partner of 76 Capital, the sports tech venture capital company. On this show, I get to interview top sports entrepreneurs, athletes, and executives who are shaping and many times changing the overall sports business industry. Today, we're going to talk about sports betting. And as you know, if you're a listener of this show, that's something I like a lot. So we're going to talk sports betting today with Ricky Gold, founder and CEO of Juice Reel. Ricky, welcome to the 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show.
Thanks for having me on, Wayne. Great to be on.
It's so great to have you, Ricky. It was so good to see you a couple weeks ago in New York City at the iGaming Next conference. Always great to see everyone in person. And it's always good to be back out there in the middle of all these of the whole sports betting scene. Did you enjoy your time out there?
I did. It's always good to be in person with everyone. I've been there, been going to these conferences a couple of years now, starting to have a group of friends develop out of these conferences. So they're really great.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And there's a number of more conferences coming up. And then, then there's sort of like a summer break and then G2E, and we're rocking and rolling, but it's great to be back in person. And, it's great to be talking with you on our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show. And Ricky, it'd be great to start off here and share with us, and our listeners and viewers here, what is Juice Reel?
So Juice Reel is a suite of tools for sports bettors. We're not a sports book like a DraftKings or a BetMGM. We're an app that you can connect in all of your betting accounts like DraftKings and MGM and just about wherever you play, and all of your bets load into our app. And we give you analytics and insights all to help you be a smarter, better.
Interesting. So not a sports book. You're a way to be actually a sports betting tool to help you as a bettor get better. So that was good. BETTER and then BETTOR, right? So, but I mean, Ricky, so share with us, what are some of the ways that someone actually can become a better by using Juice Reel?
So with everybody connecting in all their betting accounts, we have, tons and tons of data on games. So we can actually look at what are top performing bettors betting on, what are, we don't like to call them bad bettors, but profit deficient bettors. What are they betting on? And try and help guide our users to follow what historical winners are doing. And we also show, line shopping. So if you're going to bet on a game at +7 and someone else is offering +7.5, you may as well go and get that extra half point elsewhere. We've got an array of tools in the app to help you get the best bet.
All right. Well, I got to ask, a profit deficient bettor. So that's what you got to call your friends now if they're not good at betting?
Exactly. It happens to be a few more profit deficient bettors than profitable ones out there, but I guess that's good for the industry.
So I got to stay with this. So a profit deficient bettor, what's the percentage of profit? What is it? Profit. Say that again.
Profitable versus profit deficient bettors.
So how many profit deficient bettors were out there this past year across the NFL? I mean, most people don't win, so I guess most people are profit deficient bettors.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We see at least 80% of bettors are not turning a profit. Is a very small subset, between 0 and 5% of people who are, truly consistently turning a profit.
So 0 and 5% of most bettors are truly, turning
profitable consistently over a long period of time. Over the NFL season, it was about an 80-20 split, but a lot of those people who were profitable for a portion will lifetime be unprofitable.
Interesting. I mean, so why do people come back? I know that's a tough question, but why do people continue to bet if the numbers are like that?
I think a lot of people aren't betting as a source of income. I think they do it I think the large majority of the market is entertainment driven bettors who, if they're going to watch a game, they want to have some money on it. And I think that's why they're coming back to us, is if they're going to have money on it, what side should they be taking? You may as well get those extra points. And then, there's those people who really do make it more income driven, but that's an easy reason to come back if you keep going to the well and winning.
Well, look, I think I agree with you. I think it's all about having fun. It's all about really enjoying and participating and being further engaged in the game and really having a incredible rooting interest, not only just for your team, but maybe to win a few bucks. It's always fun to do that. As Brent Musburger always says, it's all about cash and tickets, right? That's what it's all about. So it's a lot of fun. It's always a lot of fun to do that. And it's really great to have you on our show, Ricky, talking about Juice Reel and how Juice Reel can actually help you do a little better, right? So how would it work? So it's a NFL Sunday, it's the morning of the games. We're here on the East Coast, and it's, you're putting all your bets into Juice Reel. What does it tell you?
Yeah, so I guess to start off with 9 a.m. on a Sunday, East Coast here, the first question is what am I betting on? You'll look at things in our app, like, on a Panthers-Ravens game, 75% of the best bettors might be on the Panthers, while, 90% of the worst bettors might be on the Ravens. That's even if a game split 50-50, seeing that difference between what the smart bettors and the profit-efficient bettors are doing is, one thing that'll help guide you what to bet on. There are some other things in the app where you can unlock what the very best people are doing in the app. But then once you've, decided what you want to bet on, the next question is, where do you go bet it? And in almost every state, there's a wide selection of sports books to bet it at, and a lot of different prices associated with each line. And so, after we've helped you decide what to bet on, we help show you where to go bet it, which sports book in your state makes sense for this bet. And we'll take you into that sports book, and you'll go bet there. And once you've placed the bet at the sports book, those bets will sync back into our app. And then, when kickoff starts, we have features in our app that are showing you how your bet's doing as the game plays out. So you can watch your bets kind of the same way you watch a stock all throughout the game. You can, before the game starts, that bet's worth, $0 in profit, $0 in loss. And then all game long, depending on how your team's doing, you get a first down, your bet's worth a little bit more. You fumble the ball, it's worth a little bit less. We give you that experience to watch how all of your bets are doing and present, live lines to help you go take live actions as the game plays out.
That's really interesting. I mean, let's go in a little deeper on that. I mean, so you placed your bets, you did your work in the morning, you're watching, you have Juice Reel open, or on your phone or on your iPad or whatever, and you're watching the games. And you're sort of seeing where the money's going, and you're like, wait a second, maybe we'll talk about my Eagles, right? My Eagles, they're doing well. Like, we're doing well. Looks like we're going to win this game, or looks like, he seemed, Jalen Hurts looks like he's throwing a lot of passes. And I mean, what do you start doing with that information?
You see a lot of people are interested in hedging out when they're winning. Your team could be losing, and maybe the odds got a lot better. You can get a better blended price on your bet. Gambling's a lot of, as you're watching. It's all about feel. You're feeling like doubling down. We give you the avenues to go lock that in.
Interesting. So to do all this, I mean, you must have a heck of a team to be able to build, what you've done at Juice Reel. And before we get to your full team, we got to start with one of your investors, who's also very close to us here at 76 Capital, and is Dan Mason. I know Dan's also involved with you and your company. How did you meet Dan?
Yeah, Dan's an incredible guy. I met Dan through, we were raising some capital and got introduced to a couple of folks. One being a guy by the name of Dick Foreman, introduced me to Dan, who tried out our product, and Dan fell in love with it. And, we've brought Dan on as an investor and an advisor. And he's just so passionate about what we're doing. He's a sports bettor, casual one, but regular bettor, and he sees the value in kind of the tool we're creating and the community around it.
Well, Dan, who's the former CEO of CBS Radio, certainly knows the world of sports, knows media, knows radio, knows, the whole, entertainment side of the business as well. And I'm sure he's a great person to have on your team as he's been amazing with us here at 76 Capital.
Definitely. It's been a noticeable change overnight since Dan's been on, and just in terms of, people we're able to meet and get in front of, he's been so helpful.
That's great. Well, look, you gotta ask him all of the stories that he has about Mike Francesa and the whole Mike and the Bad Dog stories and all the things that he did over his career at WFAN, at WIP, and the list of stations all over the country. It just goes on, and the amount of people that he, helped them over the years with their career. He's just a heck of a guy. So you're really lucky to have him as part of your team.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Even just the way he thinks about our business, the questions he asks, helps us evolve.
That's great to hear. Well, also talk about your team. Who's on your team, and how does that kind of tie into really helping you build what you're doing here at Juice Reel?
Yeah, so our team has been pretty tech focused throughout our whole time as a company. We actually pre-COVID, everybody was working for sweat equity. All myself included, all had a day job. We were all building this product all the way from inception to launch. Everybody just working after work on a daily basis. Really, the team is a group of incredible coders, some from a quantitative finance background, some from like a data stewardship background. And not everybody comes from a sports betting background. It's much more from the tech side. But it's a lot easier to teach an engineer sports betting than the other way around. And they've been, we couldn't be where we are today without our team and the work that everyone's put in.
Ricky, also, I'd love to hear your background and also how you decided to start Juice Reel.
Yes, my background, when I went to college, I went to the University of Florida, studied industrial and systems engineering. Most of my career was in the tech consulting space, typically helping banks with data strategy and data cleansing. And so my background has, from a professional standpoint, it's definitely been heavily slated in the data space. But I grew up in a sports betting household. There's a good video of my birth where my dad's holding the camera and I'm being born, and then they cut to the Cowboys game and you hear an "oh no." I grew up, watching games, knowing spreads. I practically, learned math, calculating parlays by hand. And so I kind of took what I saw as a big gap in the sports betting experience and what I've learned professionally in the data and tech space, and had came up with the idea for Juice Reel.
That's awesome. Love the story about your dad. Is your dad a Cowboys fan?
No, they were playing the Giants. He's a Giants fan.
Are you a Giants fan?
I am a Giants fan.
Got it. So to talk about the building of the business. You were in this tech consulting world. How did you put together your team? How did you sort of come up with this idea, and say, let's give this a shot?
It's a good question. I mean, I think it really came down to, I had this idea about what is missing from the sports betting experience. No one knows how they're doing NFL on an NFL Sunday from an individual game perspective. No one knows, how much money they've won or lost over time. Thinking about the sports betting experience, I saw so many opportunities from how to cater to what bettors want. But what really made me start this business was when I realized that creating a great experience for bettors can also benefit the sports books too. By really engaging the bettor and presenting them more information and bridging a gap to the operators, you can actually benefit both sides of the equation by just having a good piece of data and tech sit between the sports bettors and the sports books.
One of the things that I okay, please continue.
Oh no, I was just going to talk about how I source the team.
Yeah, how did you find the team?
LinkedIn Recruiter. Actually, we kind of knew what we wanted to build. I needed a specialist in iOS, a specialist in AWS, and a specialist in data syncing. And messaged some people on LinkedIn with good jobs and good backgrounds. Took them to coffee and convinced them why we should work every day for Sweat Equity.
And, amazing. You got to love the startup stories. They're always the best. And look, I mean, Ricky, you're now, you've launched Juice Rule. It's out there. You're able to download it, off the App Store. Correct? Is that
correct?
And it's out there. It's growing. People are really starting to use it. When you look at the overall industry of sports betting today, and one of the things I would love to say is that we're still very early in this game. And, you talk about this idea of really not knowing how well you're doing, what's happening with your bet, it's all about, this future of being able to really personalize your experience, have a better experience as a sports bettor. When you look at all these things, where do you think things will be in the next couple of years as more of these things truly get better, right? I mean, you go from this experience of today where you could just bet on your games and then you sort of sit back and you hope your team wins. But where do you see it going over the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think technology is elevating the industry for just about every stakeholder in it. You see, like you were saying, there wasn't even always live bets. They've gone from pregame to live bets. You see parlays to same game parlays, and you're I think you'll see a lot more personalization come with that. Where I think I saw some number, don't quote me on the number, I think that FanDuel gets 20% of its bets from the home screen without you needing to click into a game. I mean, that's to know what somebody's going to bet before they bet it and cater to an individual's person and what's going on in the world. I think the amount of personalization over these next couple of years is going to really increase, from a handle and a hold perspective, and just an overall engagement perspective in sports betting. The same way kind of TikTok's algorithm creates a more engaged social media audience. I think you'll kind of see something along those lines in the sports betting world.
Well, we certainly agree with you. And we're here at 76 Capital, our investors in a company called Epoxy that's doing a lot of that right now on the personalization side, using augmented reality, I'm sorry, artificial intelligence. The whole AI world is amazing. It's amazing to see, how much can be not only be used from from everything else, but also be used in the world of sports betting. And as you said, really understanding who you are as a sports bettor, trying to provide you with a better experience. That's what this is going to all be about as we continue to move forward. I mean, are there any other sort of, I mentioned, this artificial intelligence, are there other sorts of technologies, since that's your background, right? I mean, are things that you guys are integrating into Juice Reel, or things that maybe you may not have it today, but maybe in the future you'd want to be part of what you're doing?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think we're really honing in on the in-game experience, which I think there's a lot of opportunity just because of how complex it is to stand things up around in-game. Everything's got to be real time and seamless. But yeah, creating tools like hedging calculators that work in real time based on all the real time odds that are changing with every play, and tailoring that specific to your bets. I think that's an experience that no one's really flushed out yet, and that's something that we're going after.
And what are your thoughts on sort of, you mentioned that you're using a lot of, financial like words, hedging, right? And like things like that. I mean, how much is this world of sports betting like the financial services world?
I think that, people go down a path who are sports betting and in the very beginning, most people just bet on who's going to win the game or not. No one's first bet is a same game parlay on, over unders. And so I think, people work through that progression of a sports bettor. And I think, it more and more starts moving into, a finance parallel realm, the later stage. And so I think we'll get there. I think there's a lot more time that needs to pass before, people start viewing sports bets like assets and trading at that capacity. But I do think that, people migrate to live betting pretty quickly. And I think, a lot of help from the sports books push it there with, through commercials, partnerships with TV, that are really engaging the sports bettor and pushing them down that path faster.
Ricky, now that you're, the CEO of Juice Reel, and you're kind of out there, you have a team and you're the leader of the team. Did you ever have, growing up, a coach or a mentor or somebody that, has helped you with what you're doing today as a CEO of a company?
I think that, from being a consultant and bouncing around lots of different companies on projects and working with different leaders, something that's been helpful for me is seeing, people at the highest level in their jobs. What kind of questions are they asking to the audience? How do they go about their work? That's definitely something that's been really helpful for me. It's probably cliche, but my dad has also been a very positive influence on me in terms of just thinking about business mechanics.
Even though he's a Giants fan? No, I'm kidding. No, I think that, oh my God, the story of him with you being born and then flipping over the game, and that's probably the same exact story my dad had. He was probably watching the Eagles game though, but I mean, like, that's amazing. No, it really, look, let me tell you something. Doing all these shows and hearing, so many stories of entrepreneurs who are talking about their mom or their dad. It's really, it's a big deal, and it's really nice to see that you've had that, that kind of relationship. So please share more.
Yeah, it's just, it's helpful to seeing people in their work, watching other people do work is, to me, just something like, I've even seen, my girlfriend's CEO talk and give their, talks to their team. It's just amazing to see people in their element doing a great job. And I think it's, you just kind of pick apart what they're doing and what do you like about what they're doing, and try and emulate in that what you do.
Being an entrepreneur is not easy. Starting a company is not easy. It's not all, like, straight line to the top, So how do you deal with sort of the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur?
It is definitely a different life than working for a corporation. I mean, the ups are way more up and the lows are way more down. But I mean, and you get a lot of no's along the way, from people you don't know, and even, your closest friends or family, or, investors, whatever. Working through the no's and, knowing that you need nothing happens overnight, and you really need to put the work in and day out. It's a hard path to go down for sure. But, you just really need to believe it. You really need to know what you're doing. It's going to work. And these are the steps you need to take. And no matter what anybody says, you know what you need to do. And of course, take in feedback as it comes. But, you can't let no's turn you down.
It's such great advice. It really is. I mean, this entrepreneurial journey it's not for everybody, right?
I could see why.
So you mentioned earlier your girlfriend is a CEO as well. What's that like?
No, my girlfriend, she's a recruiter at Pinterest, but she always shows me when their CEO Bill Reddy comes on, who seems like a super sharp guy. Yeah.
Got it. No, that's interesting. I was going to say two CEOs in the same house, but she's probably the CEO of your relationship. He's probably right.
Yes, we'll definitely say yes to that. Make sure she watches that too.
Well, Ricky, this has been awesome having you on our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show. I'm so happy things are going well for you. And before we close out, I want to ask you one other thing. I mean, so far, in the short life of Juice Reel and all the things that you've done so far, is there a moment, or is there something that's sort of stands out and says, wow, like, I think this is going to work. Like, is there been a moment like, oh, I think we're getting there?
You know, thinking the day that we got onto the Apple App Store was definitely like a really big day for myself and the whole team. You know, we put in so much work. You know, this was after work we were doing while we all had day jobs, years in the making. To see it actually tangibly work and people could download it kind of felt like it's what made it feel real. It was always kind of, hacking away up until we got to that point. And once we were on the App Store, we were like, we have a product. Like this is real. It's not an idea anymore. And it was really exciting to take that forward.
Well, that's so great to hear. And Ricky, it's always great to see you, and wish you the best of luck with everything at Juice Reel, especially because Dan Mason's involved with you, so I got to make sure we say Dan again so that he watches till the end of the show here. But Ricky, again, thanks so much for joining us on our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show. Wish you the best of luck, and hope that, everything that, all your hopes and dreams and entrepreneurial, thoughts and all the things you want to go do come true, and you're super successful. Again, thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Wayne. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It was great seeing you, and hope to see you at the next sports betting event that we're both at. Talk soon.
Absolutely. See ya.